Hi, welcome to episode 223 of the Brewgooders Beer Comics Assorted Geekery. I'm Geoff, and to my right, but not as far as we're. No, it doesn't work if there's only two of us. I'm not even going to say it. I've got Stu with us this week. Andrew and John can't join us this week, but we'll muddle in. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I had to pull myself away from blood and guts to be here, which sounds gross, but it's just wrestling. It's fine.
Oh, all right. Oh, I forgot that was on last night. I've not watched it yet. So behind. I love it when the other guys aren't here. We could just like fire straight into the wrestling. Is Blood and Guts been alright?
Yeah. So far, there's definitely blood. Hope there isn't guts for the sake of the wrestlers' health and well-being. But yes, definitely blood.
Yeah. I think we need to see some guts, otherwise it's false advertising.
Prop guts. Somebody's got some like mince from like the butchers, and it's just in a carrier bag under the ring, waiting for it to fall out of.
Just hold up the camera and be like, "These are the guts."
Darby, your guts.
It's interesting that I'm going to bring on our guest this evening is Emily, who is the Glasgow beer girl, and she's awesome. And we met her I've followed her on Instagram for ages, but I met her properly. We met her properly at the Dundee Brewfest, but also a massive wrestling fan.
What are the chances?
She kicked my arse for a minute. Like we decided that we would lock up because we both got backgrounds in pro wrestling, so we thought we'd have a wee lock up, and she genuinely threw me about. I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm not ready for this." But she's totally awesome, amazing influencer in the Scottish beer scene. Never mind just the Glasgow one. But I feel like we should bring her in if we're going to talk wrestling, because that's only fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Emily, you're right.
Hi, how are you?
We're all good. Good. You seen Blood and Guts this week yet? No.
I've been a little bit busy this week, but can you confirm to me, is Darby Allin actually dead yet?
They're definitely trying. He's been getting hit with plenty of things, but I don't think they've managed to kill him yet.
Yeah, it's wondering about whatever is going to happen to that man. Is it going to be his last ever AEW show?
It's like Liquid Terminator. You think you've killed him, then he all of a sudden just pulls back together.
I like the idea that you were saying.
Hung and quartered him.
I like the idea that you were suggesting he was getting hit by things, but actually, I think you hit Darby Allin with things is probably the more accurate.
Yeah. There's a good chance he probably jumped to his death, and he was convinced he was going to make it.
Yeah. Is that the finisher he does? Is it a coffin drop where he just doesn't look like he's looking at whatever he's landing on? He's just like other people seem to like do like these big these moves, and he's just like, I'm just going to fall on you without
just jump backwards and hope for the best. Because how do you prepare yourself for the landing?
What's it? So, Emily, we normally have our guest. Emily, tell us about you, right? Okay. Normally, I was like, oh, great, we can bring you in for the beer chat, and you don't drink at home, which is fascinating.
Yeah, it's just I don't drink at home. I'm more of a sociable girl. I like to drink beer like when I'm with people in person. It's just my personal thing. I've just not really drank at home in a good number of years. I just don't like drinking by myself, so I don't go to shops and buy things. But I do share things on my Instagram with the local independent bottle shops because I like to support the independent scene. So I like to do that just to show that I still represent, as it were.
There's some amazing independent bottle shops like in the west. Can we say west of where we are? We're in Fife. So, but you've got are you You're in Glasgow or Paisley, aren't you? Like that sort of neck of the woods.
I'm just outside of Glasgow in South Lanarkshire, so I don't really have anything here. So my nearest kind of like place for craft beers in the south side of Glasgow. So if I was to jump a bus and head into Clarkston, you've got Maxwell's in Clarkston, which is an independent bottle shop, but it also has got sitting facility to be a bar. So it's got a great selection of beers, and it's great to have like the taps. So it's got like Overtone Brewery. It's
Yeah.
got simple things, fermentations as well from your end, as well as it's got other beers from like German brewery ABK, and then you've also got a tap of Northern Monk, and then you've also got a tap of like rotating cider. So that's good. And then you further venture into the south side and you're in proper Glasgow, and then you've then got the wee beer shop that's run by Niall Kennedy. It's a really, really amazing shop. He does really well with his beer selection. He's very carefully curates that selection. He's got an amazing lot of German beers just now that he always does. And then I like to drink across the road in my favourite pub, which is called Shipyard. It's got an amazing tap selection. It's always rotating. One of the great things is it's got like a core range of beers. So like it's always got the Bud Bar that's on a side pull tap. One of the very few places in the country that does a side pull tap. So you get it proper Czech style. And then it's also got the Ansbach Hobdale London Black Porter. And then you've also then got the cask lines, which they've recently started to kind of like up their game with that. So you've been getting a fresh cask on a Thursday, and then they've got a fresh cask on a Saturday. And I like cask ale. I don't know many of the people that follow you or yourself like cask ale, but stuff that they've been putting out recently has been great.
What sort of stuff are you? What kind of cask suggestions? What kind of casks do they have? Who have they had?
Well, they do things from like fine ales.
Yeah.
They do things from Thornbridge. They do things from the local breweries like Ducat, and they also do the simple things fermentations. They really do have quite a varied selection. That's like it's difficult to kind of like put it down because like they don't seem to do the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
But recently, I don't know if you've had it, the Thornbridge Dry Pure.
Yeah. Had it
So
on can. You can get it in
yeah,
Asda sometimes.
yeah, so they had it, but they had it on like a particular cask. So apparently Thornbridge Brewery is using a particular kind of equipment that is also being used by a local Glasgow microbrewery called Poco Brewery, run by a guy called Gareth. So it's just like so basically the way it's brewed, it's different to the regular Jai Pure.
All right.
And
Okay.
it's honestly, like really, really lovely to get it um, served like in a proper traditional style.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I'm a massive fan of fine as well. Was there? It's just it totally escaped my brain. What's the fine ale? What's the fine ale like? Their standard IPA called that you get everywhere.
Well, they've got couples, so you might have it. It might be the Jarl or Jarl.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Jarl. Yeah, Jarl's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I've had the Jarl. There's a couple there. I actually had the Cryo Hops version of the Jarl recently, which was interesting to see. And then I also had the barrel aged version of the Jarl. All in Coal Shipyard. And it's good to see that they got that variety in.
Yeah, that's right. You must be total spoiled in Glasgow for like just in general. Like, there's like off the top of my head, I can think of like 2 or 3 places that are just great for like just beer. On Great Western Road, there's that bottle shop that's immense. That again totally escapes me.
Is that Valhalla's? Is it?
Yeah,
Valhalla's goat.
Yeah, Valhalla's. I always forget what it's called because it's like, yeah, it's called Valhalla's goat.
So, see, if you go to that place, depending on when you go in, you might actually get greeted by Harry, who actually owns Dickert Brewing.
Oh, really?
Which is good because it's nice to have a bottle shop that's actually got one of the brewers working in there as well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Harry's absolutely lovely, and it's just like you go out there. The great thing about that shop is it's not just all about craft beer. They've got a very discerning wine selection and a very discerning spirit selection. So you're not just stuck to just the beers all the time with that place, but honestly, it's just like this big, massive kid sweet or an adult sweet shop.
Exactly. Yeah. Have you been to Valhalla's goat, Stew? No.
No, nah. I've not been to really any bottle shops in Glasgow, which is a real pain in the backside. I think the closest I've come to drinking craft beer in Glasgow is, I think, the Grunting Growler. Been there a couple of times, but there is, as you said, you've named several places to be in Glasgow. And I've heard of it, never been to it. Heard of it, never been to it. But yeah, I was not familiar with Valhalla's goats. That sounds metal as fuck. So I will definitely try and make my way there next time.
Yeah, so it's great you mentioned Grunting Growler. That's run by Jihad, just around the corner from Kelvingrove Art Gallery Museum. So he's got like that shop's went through like an amazing story of like upgrade after upgrade, and like looking at the place just now in the present, it's honestly like one of the best places in the West End to go for craft beer. So you've got like the nice seats, the beautiful decor of the place, and they've got all the fridges with all like a really well curated selection of craft beers, and then they've also got the draft selection as well. They've only got 6 taps, but like they're a lot smaller than most venues, but they do very well with what they've got, and they've got like a small wine selection, and then they've also got like spirits as well to sit in for and take away. That's great, and it's good that there's something in that spot in that area because apart from the big northeast Aberdeen brewery around the corner, there's not really much else around there in terms of craft beer until you actually go the other side of Kelvingrove Art Gallery Museum, and then you're over Byers Road and that kind of neck of the woods.
Yeah. There's some nice places down there as well, obviously. So, like, obviously, Glasgow's massive. How did you get involved in like the beer scene, like in the way that you are, and what was your like? How do you? I'm probably asking you about 9 questions in a wonder, so I'll break it down. Like, I know that you're so heavily involved in various aspects of just the beer scene in general. So where will we start with that? Tell us a bit about like how do you decide where you're beving when you go into Glasgow? Like, you've obviously got your local, but I see you everywhere, so I'm like, oh, how do you?
So literally, all I do is like I follow like various different Facebook groups. So I follow the Good Beer in Edinburgh. I follow the Good Beer in Greater Glasgow. I follow the Scottish Beer Community Facebook page. I also just decided on my own back via my own Instagram on Glasgow Beer Girl, just to kind of like see all the venues in Scotland and just follow up, maybe say about 20 to 30 of them.
Yeah.
And I just see like if a bar's got a good social media presence and they're updating themselves about what's happening, I'll just be like, oh, something piques my interest, and I'll be like, I'm going to that this weekend. Or if that say like it's a tap event on a Thursday or a Tuesday or what have you, I just decide to go, oh, that piques my interest, I'm going to go to that. And then It's just like for years, I just was in like the groups and I just posted in the groups, this is what I'm up to. And people decide to then listen to what I'm saying and they go like, yeah, this person seems to know what they're on about because they post about it a lot. And it's just like I don't really do much special. It's just like I have an interest in beer. It's one of my biggest hobbies and passions because like when just a little bit about me is that unfortunately my dental enamel is a bit shit. So it's just like fizzy juice and chocolate and other things. I don't really get to enjoy that without it going like, but craft beer, it's like that's a whole different thing. It doesn't hurt my mouth the same way, and it gives me these tastes and flavors, and I'm like going, yes, I can enjoy something, and it doesn't hurt my mouth. So that's the whole thing. And then like when I started to get into the craft beer, it was just like, see when you go into like a supermarket and you go into the booze aisle and you see the Beckby, you just go like, yeah, whatever. But these cans, they're different. The label's different, and then you actually then learn the beers are actually have labels made by local artists, and there's a bit of
Mhm.
collaboration there because, like, I think craft beer is a very artistic kind of like scene because, like, you've got brewers that come up with recipes and they put all of the passion into it, and you get people like me that get interested in it, and then you then talk to a brewer, and the brewer then is able to talk to you, and you become a fan of that brewery. And then to get people interested, oh, what do we call it? So there's a creative process in the name
Yeah.
of the beer. There's a creative process of the labeling of the beer. And somebody could be like amazing at beer. They don't have a clue about a label. They don't have a clue about name. So if they get a local artist involved, the artist comes up with the name because they're a creative artistically.
Mhm.
There's the brewer's creative and making beer with good with their hands that way kind of thing. And I just like that.
Yeah.
That that's what drew me into this scene. And just talking to you, and it's just like there's a big massive community feel because like whenever I go to any of like, say if you were to go to a Spoons, you go up to the bar, you ask for a pint of tench, you're anonymous, and then that's it.
Mhm.
You go to one of these small independent craft beer bars to have a beer. There's a chance that there's people you know there because you've spoken to them, chatted to them. And I love that about the craft beer scene. I like to talk to people about the beers I'm drinking, and then like I'll have a look in the draft board, and I'll be like, I'll look to my side, and I'll be like, "What's that one you had?" And it's just like, okay, I'll have that. You recommended that to me, so there is like a community feel with the craft beer
Yeah.
scene in Scotland. So that's why I like to drink in the pubs. I don't like to drink by myself because I don't get that if I'm at.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think we bit of on a Thursday. I think this is a throwback to COVID, isn't it? Like we originally as a podcast used to sit together and do that, but I can totally understand that. It's amazing that you're talking about the community stuff as well. I know that you're a member of uh, uh, the Glasgow Ladies Beer Society.
Yeah, I'm a member of that. They do like a regular social, and then they have announced that by their Facebook and also the Instagram that they're going to be doing a beer festival on the 16th of November, which is going to be like their winter beer festival.
Yeah.
I don't actually have the details to hand because if I do, I'll end up probably messing up the stream. But if you do follow the Glass Ladies Beer Society on Instagram, as an all women's beer group at the end of the day, and the socials are just for women. But the beer festival event that they are running on the 16th of November is going to be open to everybody of like all genders. And the more details will get released in due course. But it was just more of a save the date kind of thing that they
Yeah.
just announced a couple of days ago.
Just saw it there. Drygate is
Yeah,
now.
Drygate. Sorry, I completely forgot the venue. I'm just like,
That's,
I've been a little bit busy in my personal life at the moment, so it's just
nah,
like,
no worries, don't be that.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
Drygate's a
actually,
great venue as well.
yeah, Drygate is good. It's a good beer venue. I just heard recently that they launched a new restaurant menu, like
Okay.
last week or 2 weeks ago. So it's worth a shout if you want to go down to see the beer selection to also have a small plate.
Yeah, it's a good shout, man. What?
Actually, so actually tell I've actually bought something, but it's actually for the weekend to share with my girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, show off though.
It's maybe not beer related, but it's Wagwan.
Okay, what is Wagwan?
Wagwan is 17.2% rum tonic with pineapple and coconut flavour, and what looks like an actual cough bottle. That looks like a cough bottle. Look at the shape of the bottle.
I hope you enjoy that because 17.5% is a bit real.
I'm just going to take it with me to my girlfriend's and just see how it goes.
You administer it with two 5mm syringes once every 4 hours.
Yeah, I think that this would go well with some wrestling.
I think so.
Yeah.
I saw it. It's interesting. Like immediately, we were talking about that earlier when you were mentioning earlier about like the collaboration between beer and artists and stuff. And obviously, and you also mentioned Northern Monk. So we, as a podcast, go down to Harrogate every November for a Thought Bubble. It's just a big independent comic event. But they do a collaboration. It's Thought Bubble and Rebellion, who are the guys that own 2000 AD, and they do and Northern Monk, and they do a beer every year, and they'll get like a 2000 AD artist to
Okay.
put the can together, which is really cool. That collaboration is really awesome. Also, when you were talking about that collaboration between beer styles and like art and stuff, one of my favorite breweries, who I think closed down but have kind of been saved at the 11th hour, is Top Rope Brewing in Liverpool, and they've got that that collaboration between art and beer, but also that collaboration between art, beer, and wrestling, which is amazing. Like, yeah,
They've
that's it.
they've actually ran like full blown wrestling shows with inside the brewery.
Yeah, I've seen that before. It's amazing. But they do the whole thing on there. I don't know if you guys have had a Top Rope Brewing can, but they've got also they have pairing, so as well as
Match
like
pairings. Yeah.
match pairings. So like on the, I had the American Nightmare IPA, and I had it was Cody Rhodes versus whoa. It was the and then yeah, the match was the Cody Rhodes Dustin Rhodes match from was it Double or Nothing or whatever it was like years ago. It's good. They had like an FTR beer that you had to drink while you were watching them fight the Briscoes, and it's just cool. It's just a really it's like taking it out of my beer cabinet and saying to my mates, right, we trying to find the match on YouTube and be like, oh, trust me, it's apparently a thing. We're gonna match pair with our beer, but it's cool.
Okay, so it's instead of a beer and cheese, it's a beer and wrestling.
A beer, but like a specific match. Yeah, it's great. Good banter. I don't know, like but like beer and wrestling go together well anyway. But what are your favorite beers, Emily? If you were to like we get asked quite a lot on the show, who like Geoff or Stu, that will get asked, like we have no idea. You keep talking about craft beer, but we have no idea where do beginners start? Where do you tend to direct people?
Okay, so I'm a big fan of the German bottles. So um, it's just because like naturally somebody is a 10-inch drinker, it's a lager at the end of the day. So to kind of like broach people into like good beer, I suggest like people kind of have a gateway into good lager. So like I really like the German beer Augustiner Helles, and also like the other brewery Tegernsee Hell. They also do the Tegernsee Special,
Yeah.
which is kind of like a special version of the Hell. It's a slightly stronger ABV. I just think that those kind of beers are just like so well made. Obviously, German purity law stuff comes into effect with that. Um, and then like if like you want somebody to get into craft beer that's not like German lagers, I would say a good entry level would be the Northern Monk Liquid Faith
Oh,
because it's
okay.
a 4% easy to drink pale, and then you can then move them on to other things. Um, I could suggest other things, but like I like stouts and porters, and also like double IPAs. I like imperial IPAs, like imperial stouts. Um, it can be a bit daunting if you are a new person to the beer scene. So,
Yeah.
like that, there is the Overtone Brewery in Glasgow, and they've got one of their beers. It's a seasonal one, but it's good when it comes out. It's called Ouija. That's a pale.
Okay.
That's a pale ale. It's a 5% one. Uh, it's quite a juicy tropical pale. It does quite well for 5%, considering the fact that you do get other hazy New England style IPAs that are kind of like stronger in ABV and got a lot more body and mouthfeel to them. So EG does do well against the other ones.
This is right. That's yeah. It's that whole idea of gateway is really interesting because like we have that debate quite a lot on the show. I my entry level beers tend to be like your I don't know your like your Tiny Rebel Club Tropica or something like that would be like one of my go tos. But like but it can be a bit daunting or a bit exciting. Maybe a bit too excited. We're just like, here you go, it's fucking tropical. It's like a beer with pineapple. But I like the idea of going from tenants to like decent German lager is probably a better option, isn't it? To be honest.
Well, I
That
drink in the Wilson Arms in the south side, which is a great inclusive pub, and they've got like these they've got all these fridges of beer which you help yourself and you just go up to the bar and pay for it. They call them honesty fridges, and they've got like a rotating selection of 60 different German bottles that are 500 ml. So
well,
there's always something there.
yeah, that's amazing. Like you're so lucky. We don't have like we've got a couple of places in Dunfermline. We've got the commercial in Dunfermline, which has a great rotating set of craft and cask ales, but like yeah, none like 500 500 ml bottles of German stuff that you could just take out of a fridge. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's just I'm a bit spoiled in Glasgow, but where I live, there literally is nothing. So I've got to have an hour long travel into Glasgow
Yeah,
City
fair.
if I want to have anything, because literally I've got nothing here apart from like one Stonegate pub, which has got a rotational cask of like two cask lines, so I can be lucky and get the fine ales Jarl on it every
Yeah,
now and then. And sometimes I get like a Broughton ales, like Glasgow Cross,
yeah.
or sometimes I get an Alchemy brewing cask. Apart from that, Glasgow City Centre is where I've got to be if I want to have anything.
We're big fans of Broughton. We got invited to one of their events last year.
Oh, wow.
Because it's them. Is it Broughton, Alchemy, and Spey Valley? Yeah, they work in collaboration with each other, which is really really cool. But they've got a couple of places in Edinburgh, but their whole thing was a bit like that about survival, wasn't it? Like when breweries were shutting down, the three of them got together. Were like, they're not under one umbrella company, but they're trading secrets and they're trading colleagues and sending each other to each other's brewery and just helping each other out. It's an amazing thing. That's like, again, when you're looking at like the brewing industry, it's unlike we see it in comics as well, but there's very few communities where like people are making money but also quite happy to help others do the same rather than like compete so viciously.
I like the collaboration that there is within the beer scene, because it does feel like that it's not a backstabby kind of like business. It sounds it's more of a community based feel. So there is a lot of like breweries do help each other out. Like there is like somebody's stuck with something, somebody will reach out and somebody will come to help.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about this.
It's amazing. Right, we won't keep you for too much longer. Really, tell us where can people follow? Like, I say, I discovered like you on Instagram a couple of years ago, and it was just like following because again, your beer suggestions are amazing, and then had that weird like moment where I was at a Dundee Brew Fest and I recognised you, and I was like nudging Andrew, and that'd be like, I know her, I follow her on Instagram, and they're like, yeah, that doesn't sound as cool as you make it sound, Geoff. Like, stop me now. But don't be a nerd. But I was like, no, I'm going to go talk to her. And I'm glad I did because we got you in here. But yeah, like where can people, if people want to follow you on social media and stuff, where would they go?
Well, just follow me on my Instagram at Glasgow Beer Girl, and then if you just see my posts on either Scottish Beer Community or Good Beer in Greater Glasgow or Good Beer in Edinburgh, you can see my posts. I would just ask if you respectfully not give me a friend request on Facebook. But if you just want to talk to me on Instagram, you can chat to me on Instagram. I will happily chat to you on my Glasgow Beer Girl account. I'm talking nonsense about beer and other random stuff. Like if I go to visit a local takeaway place, or if I'm out and about doing something else, you can see what I'm up to.
Amazing, cool. Thank you so much for your time, buddy. We'll catch up with you soon.
No problem. It's been lovely to be on this, and you have a good evening, boys.
You as well. See you soon, buddy.
Cheers.
Bye.
Click the button. Yeah. What are you drinking? Cheers, Emily. Thank you for coming on this show.
No worries. I have just finished a Loch Lomond and Yeasty Boys beer called Safe Surfer, a New Zealand Pilsner.
Yeah. That sounds a New Zealand
nice.
Pilsner. Yeah, that sounds alright.
Yeah.
Oh, Yeasty Boys are from New Zealand, aren't they? That's their whole. Did I make that up? I thought the Yeasty Boys from New Zealand.
Maybe. That could be correct. But yeah, I've always heard the name Yeasty Boys, but I've never actually seen the can in the shop. This was definitely like an old Lidl's or an Aldi beer festival brew. It's just been sitting in the fridge for ages. So
they are from New Zealand. I've just googled it while you were talking. Not like the actual Beastie Boys. Where are the Beastie Boys from?
Brooklyn?
Yeah, Brooklyn. I love the Beastie Boys. Yeah, I've had a few Beastie Boys stuff. Tesco do a number of other things as well. So
cool. Nice one.
It's kind of what we're saying there. Like it's really cool. Like I remember when we first started the podcast, and you couldn't get any craft beer unless you went to the brewery or the craft beer shop, or you were lucky that there was like a is it in Frucky? They've got that petrol station that seems to have an unnecessarily good.
Oh, in Frucky, yeah.
Like
I've seen theirs there, but yeah, I've not seen them for a while now.
Yeah, it's not like I remember when I first starting here and not being able to get craft beer anywhere, really, unless you knew like there was like a shop on the way, the guy in Dunfermline who owned like a number of corner shops and like a chain of Premier shops. and he was getting in beef brewing for a while, which was really cool because I could just like go for a walk and pick up cans of beef brewing in like a local corner shop, which was really smart.
Perfect.
But then unless like the guys in Frookie as well, but obviously now you can go down supermarkets, which I know takes away from the magic a wee bit, but being able to go down like supermarkets and grab like a Tiny Rebel or a Yeasty Boys or a Northern Monk's really, really cool. I am drinking a Castle Rock DDH Pale, etc. It's good, 5%. Total like strong grapefruit vibes from it, which I really like in the beers. Yeah, it's good.
We've just finished. Oh, actually, I was just doing the finishing touches to a video that we're going to post on our YouTube channel tomorrow, which is a DDH Pale. It is another actual Loch Lomond beer called Stag Do. So, of course, I waited until the occasion where I was actually on a Stag Do to review the beer. So there's me, Tom, and our friends Scott and Guthrie. It was Scott's Stag Do, but I insisted the four of us get 4 tins of this, get into a hotel, set up a camera, and have a Stag Do drink. Stag Do.
How did that go?
It was, I think it was chaotic because we'd been drinking all day at Stuart Brewing, but by the time we got back, I can't actually say this on air. I'll have to tell you how it kind of started, like when we're off air. But afterwards, it was perfect. We're just trying to get like a rating system. So right, let's just do like thumbs, like just thumbs up, thumbs down. Did you like the beer? And they're just constantly doing this. And it's like, I'm not wanting to know if we're doing a heel turn and evolution. I just want a yes or a no. Come on, guys.
Oh man.
Yeah. The review ended. I'll let for those that want to see it tomorrow. The review ends with me kicking the camera. Just it felt right in the moment just to stand up and just kick my phone off of the desk.
Yeah. Stag do's are weird.
Yes, they are. I'm glad I only get invited to one like once a decade.
Yeah. I went to a stag do about 8 years ago now. But it was an old school friend who I used to play like Warhammer with because I'm really cool. But then he joined the armed forces and moved up to Lossiemouth. So like and then there was this weird thing where like we had Gav Stag Do in Edinburgh, and originally it was supposed to be a weird mix of like a kind of half and half mix of his armed forces friends and his Warhammer friends, and then systematically all the Warhammer guys pulled out apart from me, so it was just me and 9
military pals.
Yeah, and but we'd already pre-booked these glamping pods in Musselburgh. And we had we paid for we only needed 6 of them, say, but we'd had 7 or 8 paid for. And then one of I made a comment thinking it'd be quite funny while I was quite drunk. That was but we'd all been hitting it quite hard for 3 days, and then we're kind of halfway through day 2 at this point, and we're all kind of struggling a bit. And I was like, that's fine because we've got the spare pods, so if anyone needs to go away and have a wee cry, they can. And I've never seen a group of men get so hostile so quickly. They're like, "You're going to start crying, Geoff? What is that the kind of guy you are?" And I was like, "No, sorry." It's like, oh, sadness. How's your week been in terms of not beery stuff?
It's summer holidays. So I took my kids to the Burn Island games yesterday.
Cool.
So spend a small fortune there. I went to the acclaimed eatery of Burn Island, Burger Island.
Yeah.
Yep. It was good. I had a chili dog. I thought these only existed in Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons.
I know a lot of young people that love Burger Island. It's obviously it's a wee bit closer to me than it is to you. Yeah, it's supposed to be all right. They've got the one on the grounds, where don't they?
Yes.
They've got and then they've got a wee restaurant as well. So
Aye, it was the wee restaurant just because I was closer to the station. We decided to get the train there. But no, it was a decent wee time. Other than that, it's just been work and playing games. I've been getting right into the old point and click adventure, The Curse of Monkey Island from
Okay.
1997, which is like half like watching an animated film and half again point and click adventure from the 90s. So there's no such thing as a high resolution.
Was that like the CDI? Is that the console that came out on?
Maybe
that?
I think yeah, probably would have just been PC because at this point it was beyond like the Amiga, which I think the first two games were on. So this one just looked like a straight up PC game. But no, it's good fun. I've got a friend who's an expert on like the franchise, like kind of holding my hand, like he's my built-in hint system. So if I get stuck, he's like, what about that door over there? Have you tried that door? So it makes for a more entertaining stream. And it's not just me lost and talking to myself for like 2 hours.
Amazing. It's funny. I watch some streamers, like very rarely in fairness, but I have seen some streamers, and there is that moment where they get lost in a game. I used to watch guys play Football Manager, and there's a lot of downtime in that game, in that they're having to talk to folk as they're changing like training regimes, which isn't that exciting. But then they actually, I quite like the play banter where they're trying to fill airtime between games, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can only imagine watching somebody doing like a puzzle clicking, I played like the Telltale games where they have like, I had the Back to the Future Telltale game, which was good fun, but like you sometimes get bits in the game where you're like, oh, I've missed a clue, and then you're like, I can't imagine what streaming that must be like when you haven't caught everything in a room.
Exactly, and that's it. There was the stream we did on Tuesday night had like a mini game where you and your pirate ship kind of was going from one island to another, but you were getting involved and like you were attacking other pirate ships, and you're having to fight other pirates. But in these games, the sword fighting is insult sword fighting. So it's almost like rock paper scissors, and whoever wins it comes up with like the better insult. But it's a case of they'll start a sentence and you have to finish it, but you only could get the answer if you could get the answer from them in the previous bout. So there's say like 10 insults. You need to know the 10 answers to correctly parry back. So there's a good half hour of just collecting insults and trying to battle the boss. And he had new insults that you hadn't heard yet, but your old answers would be right. And I was getting my ass kicked for about 10 minutes. And when I looked, I was like, there's 5 people watching this stream. And I just like, if somebody in chat wants to help, because like the struggle is real.
Just make fun of his mum.
That was it. That was legitimately a comment. Somebody said, when I was in school back, it was something like, your mum, that worked for me when I was back in school. And I was like, unfortunately, they did not have that answer. But no, it was a good laugh. It's fun when people show up to watch and interact.
Yeah, like 3 people watching this stream right now. It's good fun when you interact.
Yeah, I dare you to send us a comment. Right bag if you didn't. That's an insult. I'm not going to be.
I love the summer holidays. I have a weird moment where like everybody's talking about what they're watching and what they're seeing, and I'm just like between like job and children. Don't really get and trying to keep up with wrestling because it changes so quickly. Other stuff tends to take a segue, but I mean, I've seen so much this week. It's been great. I watched the new Wonka film with Sonny this week, and
the Timothy Chalamet. Yeah,
and I took some notes as I was watching it about the similarities between Wonka and Dune 2, which believe it or not is so like They both have Timothée Chalamet, obviously.
Yep.
They both have him as a key plot point in this film, trying to galvanize disenfranchised people to take over oppressive regimes.
True.
Which, they both have. He has a famous Rebecca as his mum in both movies. He has Rebecca Ferguson in June 2, and he has Rebecca Hall in Wonka. They both have amazing scores. Obviously, Hans Zimmer did Dune, and the guy from The Divine Comedy did Wonka. They both have an amazing A-list cast. Have you seen Wonka?
Yes, I took my son to see it, which surprised me because I didn't think he was interested until he found out a bunch of people from his class were all going on the same day.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
That's a good reason as any to see a film. But yeah, they've got like June 2's got an amazing cast, but so does like basically the entire cast of Ghosts feature in
really?
Wonka. But yeah, like the guy that owns the zoo, the lady that gets married, I'm trying, who else is in from Ghosts? I was like, oh, he's in Ghosts as well, and she's but that's amazing. Obviously Olivia Cook, the featured Oscar winner.
I recognise Olivia. Was it? I felt like it's one of those times where it's like, big popular British production. Let's throw every like notable Brit in there.
The guy from the butler from what was he in? The butler from not Bridgerton, Downton Abbey. He was one of the guys in the washroom. That was just good. Great. I enjoyed that. Both have amazing casts. Both have amazing effects. So the effects in both films are great. Both have great like CGI and cinematography. And both have 8-inch orange Hugh Grants.
Hugh Grant was in June.
It would have made it a better film. But the wee Dune. If that happened at key points in June 2, I would argue it would be a better film. So like, so actually, when I'm not gonna put an answer in because you'll go mental. But when you compare all the things about June 2 and Wonka, the only thing that Wonka's got an 8-inch high orange Hugh Grant singing songs and being really passive aggressive, and June 2 doesn't. So, what's the better film? So I watched Wonka and really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. I thought it was going to be totally shit, to be honest, but I enjoyed it. Also saw Cobra Kai this week.
Nice. No, I'm put off it now. Just with this whole 3-part system, it still annoys me. Like I will most likely watch. Like I guess the fact they've not even put a date on the 3rd part, more or less, maybe 2 weeks before the 3rd part, I will watch parts 1 and 2. But yeah, it's exciting to see like a lot of the cast are going to Glasgow this October as well.
Oh yeah, they're all going to
the Glasgow
Comic-Con Scotland, isn't it?
Edinburgh, yeah. I think the Royal Highland Centre.
I've not been to that.
5.
Crease, is it Michael Cove? Is that his name?
Yes.
Right. Crease is going to be there. The guy that plays Robbie, Tori, the girl that plays Daniels,
Stingray.
And Stingray's going to be there,
yeah.
I've not been to one of those conventions yet. I know John goes to them. John guessed at them. It was pretty cool. There was we were talking about Darby Allin earlier. When you put that poster in, John in our group chat put that poster, and he's in the same line as Darby Allin. He's on the same line as Darby Allin. I'm like, that's well cool. And John doesn't even know who Darby Allin is, so it's like, that's amazing. No, the first part was okay, but did feel like you're like, oh come on, you're you told us that this season was going to be the last one, and you've cut it into 3. It's like that's that. But I enjoyed it. Still, I understand it's the point, but still repeating plot points from like 5 seasons ago, which is quite annoying, But they fix it with karate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea that karate is this like just the answer. Like, what right, we'll fight it out. But yeah, so yeah, Cobra Kai was okay. The Boys, I don't know if we talked about that last week. The Boys finished last week, and that was excellent. Season 4 has been great. And I was going to ask you because I know you've got that poster to just over your shoulder of all the movies, the scratchy ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched yesterday for the first time ever because it's on everyone's top 100 list. So
Okay.
I watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I assume it's
first time watch.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. I don't know. Have you seen it?
Yes, I think it's not actually on this poster, but yeah, it's definitely kind of like one of those films to see before you die, exactly. But yeah, it really surprised me. That was like one of those lockdown watches where you suddenly found yourself lots of time to catch up on all those films you've been meaning to watch. So it was that strange to kind of see like a really young Danny DeVito and Jack Nicholson.
I'm not gonna lie, and this is me making myself sound like a non-geek. I didn't realize it was Danny DeVito for ages because he's so young in that movie.
Yes.
But yeah, Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd, a lot of people playing against like how I would know them, you know. Yeah, just a great movie. Like, I don't think we could talk about it and bring up anything new about that movie, but just really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's one of those movies, like you were saying, it's one of those sit down and watch movies. It's one of those things that you watch and you're like, oh, I get all those memes now. I get all those references from Simpsons and
yeah.
But yeah. So Brucey asking, what's that?
No, you go ahead.
Brucey asking if we're going to WorldCom next month. I don't know if any of the other boys are. I'm in County Durham that weekend for a music festival. So I'm not going to WorldCon. It's I think it's the first one, and it's at the SEC, so the same venue as Acme. But no, Anna sent it to me actually. It looks pretty cool. Like I'm just trying to find what it's in. So it's like it is a sci-fi convention, and it's kind of leaning towards like I think there's going to be a lot of like so that they've had WorldComs in 1995 and 2005 in Glasgow.
Right.
But this is the first time they've had an event like this by these guys since 2005. So, but yeah, I think it's leaning more towards. I'm having a look at the convention highlights. It's there's loads of stuff. So they're having a musical production of June. They're going to have Ken McLeod is going to be there. Live tabletop live action roleplay performances and podcasts from 3 Black Halflings. Yeah, just some like and then a Hugo Award ceremony in Armadillo at night. Like a totally different kind of event. But if you're into your science fiction, you should go to WorldCon.
That sounds like a great alternative.
And you can also see Brucey, who's going to be one of the British Sign Language interpreters there. Yeah, I've heard some really good stuff about it, Bruce. It's just I say Anna suggested it to me, but we're away that weekend. But yes, all good. So where we go with that?
Talking about those films. Actually, there's something like when we were coming back from Friday Night SmackDown, that one Friday in Glasgow, and I was telling you about this poster, and you said to me if there was any films I could suggest to you, and I was like, at the time my mind was blank. I couldn't actually tell you the name of any of these, but about once a week in my head is like, I've got to send Geoff a list. And now, since we're here and we're on air, I could just probably read off a few films that I recommend to you from here.
Always looking for new films.
So,
cool.
Lights on. Pick up the microphone.
Or watching at home, get your pens.
So, for me, off the top line, have you seen Amelie?
Oh, that's
The French film.
the French film. I saw it in third year French because I had a teacher that said it was amazing, and it's what I've always wanted to revisit because I've heard it's great, and I've seen it, but I was too young maybe to appreciate why it's so good.
Okay. And what about 12 Angry Men?
No, is that the one about the courtroom?
Yeah. Aye, it's like the jury, and they go into the room to decide whether this boy is guilty for killing a man, and 11 of them are saying guilty and one not guilty, and then over the course of like 90 minutes, like they debate, and it's honestly just one of the best bloody films I've ever seen. And it's just one, like, it's also in that category of hot movies where 12 people are stuck in a room, it's roasting, there's no air conditioning, and it's in the middle of summer. So as the film goes, they get progressively more sweatier. Like you just see the stains in their shirts, and they're just sitting wiping their brow constantly, getting crab it with each other. But no, it's definitely a brilliant film. And the next row, I mean, you've spoke about seeing The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, only recently, but it is amazing.
I think you've also on the next row, Grand Budapest Hotel and In Bruges, but I feel you've seen both of those too.
Yeah, they're Grand Budapest Hotel is one of my favourites, and In Bruges is great. I've not seen In Bruges in years though. Yeah, both have got amazing performances by Ray Fiennes. He's just great. He's great, both of them.
Yes, definitely. Breakfast at Tiffany's, which was one I wasn't sure I was going to like. It's slightly problematic because there's someone that's some like American comedian or something is portraying like a Japanese landlord, and it is just like the me so sorry like stereotype. Other than that, I've seen the film twice now, and I've almost convinced like I could watch this movie every Christmas and probably cry at how sweet and wholesome it is.
Yeah,
Which was something I wasn't expecting at all. And if you love audiobooks, Breakfast at Tiffany's on Audible is read by Michael C. Hall, Dexter.
Yeah, no way.
Brilliant.
Does he read it in Dexter? Does he read it in Dexter's voice?
Yeah, it's narrated by the Dark Passenger.
It's also Breakfast at Tiffany's is one of the most amazing songs of the 90s. So you can by Deep Blue something.
Yeah. Obviously, The Shining's a huge one.
Yeah, it's great. As well.
Halloween, Jaws, Evil Dead, Drive. Drive's a great film. One of the more modern ones.
Yeah. Is that Gosling? No, it's not Gosling, is it?
It is, Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
But it's got like a real kind of like techno disco soundtrack that really stuck in my head for years. The Intouchables, the French film about like a paraplegic and his black carer.
Okay. I've heard of that one, actually.
It's got like an American remake with Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston called The Upside, I think.
Oh, I've never even heard of that.
That's equally just as good as well. But it's a whole thing about like stereotypes. It's like this black man shows up for a job interview. Oh, you're obviously here to rob me, type of thing. And then the paraplegic is, oh, come on, like everyone's got feelings and they learn from each other. It's again another really great wholesome film. One on here that was the first time of me watching it was 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and I was surprised at how good that film was.
No, it's not.
So I was just like,
no, it's not.
It's maybe great for watching it once, like the real bubbly character of the group, and the fact that it just kept coming back. Oh, it's another wedding. Oh, we're a little bit further in these people's lives now.
Yeah.
These people were a couple, now they're not a couple, and like the twist, like the funeral twist, really caught me off guard.
It's in the. I don't know why it caught you off guard. It's in the title.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting one of the main party to be like this said part of funeral, but
one of my favorite things. Did you ever watch the IT Crowd when it's on?
I should really, since that's the trade I'm in, but I've not watched enough of it.
There's an episode of IT Crowd where they're at a funeral and the guy just makes a line about like, I haven't been able, I haven't thought of a decent, I can't remember what he says, but he's like, I haven't thought of a decent thing to say at this funeral, so I'm just going to read the bit from the movie Four Weddings and a Funeral. That's Anna asking if Waterworld is on the list.
I was just having a quick look. It doesn't look like it is.
Why would that be on that list?
It's a film of its time.
It is definitely a film.
Also, yeah, you have your classics like Seven Samurai. The last time I watched that, I was reinstalling like Windows Millennium on a PC, and that took 3 hours. So it's pretty much I turned the film on, and by the time the film finished, the operating system had installed on the PC by then. It's such a long film, but a bloody classic.
It is classic. I watched it that was one of my COVID watches. And it's best. You look at it, and there's films like that one, and films like it where you're like, oh my god, there's so many. This is influenced. This just even the way that this film is
like a box set of them that I've only watched 2 out of these.
Yeah,
and I bet they're all bloody amazing.
They're like the Seven Samurai in particular just reminds me of like. Without I believe I always subscribe to that argument that without this film there wouldn't be this film, or but definitely you're looking at it and you're like, oh my god, there's so much. Star Wars has been so heavily influenced by this, but the Avengers has been so influenced by this. Just any movie where they have like any of these sort of team up movies, and you're like, oh,
aye, well, definitely. Have you seen Good Will Hunting?
I have seen Good Will Hunting.
It's bloody brilliant. It was one of those films.
A wicked good picture. A wicked.
Yeah, aye. Do you want to know what a Boston accent sounds like and doesn't sound like?
Yes.
This one. But it was one of these films I've always wanted to show to my wife, and she'd always get so turned off by the first 10 minutes. And it was just like, that was it. Just heavy Boston accents and everyone just overacting. It's just got wait. And eventually, I started watching it without her, and then she came in, and it was just sort of as Robin Williams' character was getting introduced, and Matt Damon's character was trying to break him, and Williams just grabs him by the throat and says, "I will fucking end you." And it was just like, we all both stopped and just like, right, I'm invested. Let's see where this goes.
I think it's great. We talked about it. Did we not talk about it briefly a couple of weeks ago? It's such a good film with Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, obviously Matt Damon, both were Ben Affleck. Minnie Driver. Is it Minnie Driver that's in it?
Yes, she's the love interest.
Yeah. That's such a wicked movie. Wicked smart. Wicked smart. that bit where when like the guy's trying to outsmart him at the bar, and he's basically like, he's that whole thing is like, not only do I understand the points you're trying to make in this argument, but I understand the obscure literature you've read in the library to try
and form these opinions.
Yeah, he's like, that he says a line on the lines of, he's like, if I could have saved you 4 years and 40 grand, but with a $1.25 in late book fees at the local library, there's nothing you're saying that can't be read. Like, it's such a good film. And then when he's like, Joy, was it Joy Cat? Is it Joy Cat?
Do you like them apples? Aye. How do you like them apples?
So
the
me and my friends used to say that to each other all the time. Like, we would just, how do you like them apples? That's good. I love these like posters. So the idea, like the poster you've got, isn't it? You scratch.
Yes, once you've watched it, scratch it off. And there is like probably a good chunk of the films on there I have also seen. But it's still like, I've not watched Goonies in a while. So it's like an excuse to watch them again. But then there's ones I've never seen, like Rosemary's Baby. They've got some Bollywood titles in there that I've never seen. Revisit films like The Prestige, which would be a cakewalk. So
watched that last month with Sean. That's a good one. Rosemary's Baby is great, but I would suggest you'll need a palate cleanser episode of like
So I have Jay and Silent Bob ready to watch after.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, cool.
It's not a fun. It's a fun movie, but it's not a. You don't walk away from it unmoved.
Oh, there was. I remember that. Like, I always used to take critics' reviews to heart, in the sense that I remember wanting to watch a film called Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, and I remember reading a review saying this film will give you depression, and I avoided it for 10 years because I didn't want to end on depression.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. And right, it's a bleak film, but still it's a brilliant film. It's like the first part of like that Vengeance trilogy that features like Old Boy. So, and Old Boy's on the poster. I need to watch that again. But I always just remember Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, the fact that you will be left depressed after watching this. And it just totally put me off watching it. It's like, nope, I don't need to be depressed. I need to have good times with my movies.
I listen to two brothers, and two Boston brothers actually. They talk about Good Will Hunting quite a lot. But they have a podcast called Raiders of the Lost Podcast. And they're really good. It's like I was kind of put off by the name of the podcast for a while, like thinking, but they're excellent, and they often like they'll run off like kind of top 10, top 5 lists of movies that kind of stole some of their ideas for us. But like they talk about these movies like that, and they're like, this is a great movie, but you'll be really sad afterwards. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch that.
Yeah. It makes you think, well, I've got to be far too happy going into this film to get leveled out.
Yeah. So it's the Iron Claw, and it was just like, oh my God, like,
yeah.
When you and Max walked out of that, I was just like, oh my God, like, we're not really going to have a chucklesome conversation right now, are we? It was a really odd walking at the cinema with your mates and being like, don't look at me. I'm still crying.
Fancy watching Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah, totally. A movie that like I forgot to put on my list, but a movie I watched this week that I've been with Sonny quite a lot, my youngest, and he's quite happy to if I tell him it's an alright movie, he'll give it a go. And what I've noticed, and I was chatting about this earlier this week as well, what I've noticed is a lot of the movies that I totally love, and you probably totally loved when we were younger, we didn't have the ability to just turn it off and watch something else. So like there's a lot of films I watch with Sonny, or I've started watching with Sonny, and they're like genuine greats. The Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jurassic Park, great movies, but they actually are quite slow to get going. Raiders of the Lost Ark is great for the first 10-15 minutes. I love it because I'm a geek, but on a pure excitement level, the first 10-15 minutes of Raiders of the Lost Ark are brilliant. And then you have to go through 15 minutes of him in his classroom explaining to folk like quasi-religious iconography, and you're like, actually, this isn't that exciting. It's like a Jurassic Park as well,
yes, aye, and that's it. Like normally, like you've paid a ticket, so you're in theatre, you're sat there, you've got nowhere else to go, or like you've rented it, and that's your tape for like the next 2 days. So like you're pot committed at this point. Whereas with streaming services, you could easily just hit a back button and you're out. And there's still another 1,000 films you haven't watched, like ready to like at your fingertips. But
exactly that. So I had to like one of my favorite kids movies of my childhood, and I was trying to sit with Sonny and watch it, was Flight of the Navigator. So, watched that with Sonny. I was like, it generally was like one of my favorite movies when I was your age, Sonny. Like I had it on videotape and I watched it all the time. And he was like the bits that are like I remember being totally shocked by, but now it's 2024 and I've taken Sonny to see Ant-Man and Quantumania. We've been to see he's seen most of the Avengers movies, and he's watched some other stuff with me. So he sort of understands plot twists and stuff, whereas we were maybe not that clever or maybe not that wise to the like movie conventions when we were younger. So the moment like there's this bit which I was almost crying at, the bit anyone that's seen Flight of the Navigator or hasn't seen Flight of the Navigator, there's this bit where like at the start where he like the protagonist falls down the ravine, chasing his little brother. He falls down the ravine, bumps his head, and when he wakes up, he goes back to his house, but it's 8 years later, and it's like an old couple that live in his house anymore, and like basically the movie spins out, and this kid has been missing for 8 years and has shown up again out of nowhere, and he hasn't aged, and the whole world has gone on without him, and he's been like missing for so long that they've declared him dead, all this sort of stuff. But I watched it with Sonny and expected that shock of the stuff with this, the shock of there's like a 5-10 minute sequence where he works out that the world has moved on without him and he's been missing for 8 years. And Sonny just watched it. He was like, time travel, aliens. Like he just rattled off 3 or 4 different plot. He's like, has he time traveled then? I was like, well, just keep watching. He's like, was he taken by an alien? Just keep watching. Has he fallen through a wormhole? Just keep watching. it's like,
was he on that island on Interstellar where there was a big wave? We thought it was mountains, and years were minutes.
It was kind of that. It was the same argument. It's like when you watch Interstellar, you want that to be a bit like Flight of the Navigator, like when they're all explaining time travel. how the speed of light, traveling at the speed of light works. You just want one of them to go, "Oh, have you ever seen Flight of the Navigator?"
Exactly. You want the big talking fridge to drop pop culture references.
Yeah, because that's what they should do. Interstellar is like 10 years old today this year. I was saying it's getting an IMAX release in October. Anyway, I quite fancy that. Like,
yeah, that might be all right.
It was one of my. I've only ever seen a half dozen movies in IMAX, but Interstellar was one of them, and it was quite mind blowing walking out after that. It's like,
I've not seen a lot, but I think most of them have actually ended up being Chris Nolan films. Like, I remember waiting Dark Knight Rises. I remember because I worked in a cinema at that point. I was showing it 3 times a day, but I avoided every frame of it until I went to Edinburgh to go to an IMAX theatre at the weekend and see it, and then Oppenheimer last year. But and I think there's an anniversary release of Jurassic Park that was in 3D.
Oh, cool.
So, but it was strange because the screen was bigger than the glasses, so you just saw like from the outside your glasses all this stuff that's out of focus and not 3D, and then if you look straight ahead, it's 3D and you're fine. But it was strange.
It's one of those movies that wasn't made for IMAX, was it? So
exactly, yeah, or 3D. So it was definitely one of these things where it's like, we'll run it for the computer. There you go.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, watched Flight of the Navigator this week. That movie, it's like one of these movies that I haven't seen in years, and you rewatch it from a different stage of your life, and you're like, oh, this is absolutely horrendous. And it's when there's like I say a 5 or 10 minute sequence, and the boy that plays him, Joey Kramer, the guy that plays David, he was a great actor, particularly in that movie. I know I've seen the documentary about him, and he didn't have the best life after Flight of the Navigator, unfortunately. Right. He's I think he's fine now, and he's like turned his life around, but certainly hasn't had a good time of it. But one of these kids that was just like, he was 12 years old when he was famous, and they didn't really know what to do with him.
Right.
So, that movie hits quite funny, and then there's a whole sequence of movies from the mid 80s that are quite problematic now because of some of their themes, like having the voice of the spaceship was the guy that played Pee Wee Herman, which I think carries its own weight. The way we talked about it is that movie Short Circuit, where like
of course
instead of
Fisher
hiring
Stevens or something.
Yeah, exactly. They brought in Fisher Stevens to play. Like you watch that now and you're like, oh my goodness, this isn't okay.
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised it was okay then, or somebody thought it was okay then. But yeah, I was watching the Super Mario Brothers movie, and he's in that, and without the spray tan, and I'm like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
I just knew him as Benjamin from the Short Circuit movies for years. So yeah, that's what are you up to this weekend? You got anything exciting happening?
I think I'm going to try and make time and go see Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Just so I obviously the film. I hope it's a good film because I feel like they've spent so much bloody money on it. Like surely, like this film is like a household name now. Like even my parents that will have no interest in comic, Marvel will probably be familiar if I say the words Deadpool and Wolverine in front of them. Like, oh yeah, they've been on every TV show and they've been on every YouTube show. I think I saw a figure that the budget to the film was 200 million. And then an additional 100 million was spent on the marketing.
That is about like yeah. I've never done a marketing campaign like this. Like the releasing special edition trainers and
the
control pads
popcorn
and
buckets.
Popcorn
like every
buckets,
cinema has a different style. There's I can't remember if it was Cineworld, but one of them's like a toddler in a booster seat, but it's like a baby Deadpool in a carry chair, and it's actually I guess you open its skull and it's popcorn and there's a straw, and I'm like, guys, what are we doing here?
Like, I've never done a marketing thing like it, but I'd be interested. I think that'll do really well. I think as a movie, be interesting to see because I know that like I know when like I've been listening to podcasts that talk about movie budgets and stuff like that. So when I used to always think when I was younger, like, or until quite recently actually, I used to always think that when you look at when a movie is released and you look at its budget and you're like, you just in my head you want it to do more than, so if a movie's budget at 200 million, you're like, as long as it makes over 200 million, that's a profitable movie. But they don't ever put marketing costs into the how much the movie costs to make. So I think the general rule of thumb is if a movie tells you it costs 200 million to make, for example, it needs to make at least 400 million to break even.
Yeah.
Which is mad. Like,
no, I mean the amount of different styles of marketing, like the whole thing about like claw machines with like best friend like necklaces, and you see one where it looks like the two halves of necklace opening up somewhere in London, I guess, and it falls out into a giant LED screen, and like they've spent far too much money marketing this film. Like it's even like you've got personalized they're not like tins of Brewdog, and it's like the 50-50 Wolverine Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's just like Punk IPA or something, but all the can wraps is now for this film. And
it's mad,
the stupid popcorn, like every cinema's got a different style popcorn bucket, and it's like, man, yeah, like I hope they make their money back because they've pushed it so aggressively, and yeah, I actually hope it turns out to be a decent film. Like, it'd be a shame to go watch it. It's like, man, I was a bit disappointed with that. It's a shame, like, hundreds of millions was thrown into it. But I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I think I'm conflicted. I'm going to have, like, it's like Saturday, I'm going to go see it. So I hope to be surprised and come out of it, like, feeling like that was worth the effort that they put into it.
I'm hoping the same. I have read all this stuff. I know that it's like Kevin Feige himself has said that, like, in terms of like how it will change the MCU, it's like an 8 if Infinity War's a 9 and Endgame's a 10. Like the way this movie ends should totally change the trajectory of the MCU. But we'll see. Like I hope like you say, I just want it to be good. I hope it's just not been hyped up to total buggery, and then we're like, oh, actually, that wasn't that amazing. I hope to see it this week as well. So that also at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend. So I've got my I'm hoping, which is quite hard because I'm trying to stay off social media to so I don't get Deadpool spoiled, because I probably won't see it till early next week. But I'm also quite excited to see what comes out of San Diego, because I believe that Marvel weren't there last year or the year before, but they're now there this year in force. So I'm hoping that they'll change. I'm hoping they're going to make announcements that will make us all feel a bit better about what's happening in Marvel, because it's been a bit of a mess for a couple of years. So
they're going to have to rewrite some bits and pieces of what they've got planned ahead of them anyway.
Yeah,
if we can't bet on Kang anymore.
Yeah, totally that. They were kind of making fun of that. I don't know if you've seen this season of The Boys, but they were making fun of like the all the sort of tropes that you expect from like Marvel at San Diego, and like the idea that it's like so there's like they showed you the that map, that the kind of roadmap that they put up for like the phases. They did that for The Boys, but it was phases 7 to 19, and it's like just stuff like that. And you're like, I don't really care about like that map, as long as it's like I get excited and I'm like, oh look, you're planning this. But now that they're trimming a lot of the stuff they initially had planned, so that map is just like a big what if now, isn't it? Rather than a
exactly.
So I hope that we just get a wee bit like, look, we're cutting this, we're doing that. This is what we're making. We're not announcing, like, because they announced Blade and then haven't had anything since then.
Anytime you hear about it, it's like, oh, this person's like left production. So it's always just constant rumors of like production hell.
Yeah.
So it must be like a real downer to be involved with that project, if you kind of feel like the only time people talk about us is like when things went wrong and someone's like had creative differences and left.
Yeah, it's a shame, because like that is total mad, because like particularly for me and my kids, and the Marvel movies have been a massive part of our like shared experience and stuff, like taking my oldest Sean to see Endgame was like a moment in his life that he like still brings up regularly. And then it's something my youngest sonny loves, is like, if I'm like, oh, there's a new Marvel movie coming out and the three of us go together, because he's got something he can bond with his big brother about. And so it has been a shame when you're now like, we're not as excited about that as we used to be. Like, we didn't even go and see the Marvels. So we're like, so yeah. Hope all improves. Awesome, man. Anything? What have you got? Have you got any videos for Lagerlogs coming up this week?
Just the Stag Do beer review, which is going to be coming out tomorrow. And I'm still working on the actual Stag Do sort of like beer vlog. I've been just recording voiceover stuff for that, but it's all really well organized at the start. But as the night goes on, like obviously I'm getting pissed, and the quality of the camera work, the notes get foggier, and so the second half of the video is just me apologizing for the lack of effort. But I clearly just plonked the camera down on a table and forgot about it for half an hour. So here's the interesting bits. But it looks good. It's something like it's in its third draft, and eventually it's just like sculpting. Like eventually, this is a block. But by the time you leave it with me for like a month, we'll make something decent out of it.
I really struggle with that, so that's why I don't tend to do that, and I think we're expected to when we get paid along to events. But like I know you're better than I am, but the amount of times I've been to an event and just been like, it's like so well intentioned. Like we're like, oh, we've got like, we'll do this, we'll do that. Particularly like some like Thought Bubble, where we're like, we've got this, we've got that, and by Sunday we all don't really like each other anymore, and I'm just like, I've taken painkillers and I'm half asleep at our table, and I'm like, well, we should be like putting semi-decent content together from the
and that's I've invested in these, which is like little Bluetooth microphones. It was like a Prime Day sale, and I bit the bullet, and it's the same. It's just like a magnet microphone that you just put in, and a little magnetic plate on the other side. So you just stick it to your shirt, plug it into your phone, and it's great audio. I used it at Wasted Degrees, and it was like me and one of the owners, as if we had done a podcast, if you were just listening back to it, but we're just walking around the brewery with these microphones on.
That's well good.
So
I
think
got us
it'll
those
come in handy.
microphones for a couple of things, and then I misplaced them. We got Brewgooder microphones for that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be good, man. I look forward to seeing it all. I always like it when you put new stuff up. We've got a top 5 goal coming up on Sunday. They were doing 80s action movies, so we recorded that a couple weeks ago. But the X-Men one went down quite well. Like I spoke chatting about it and stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll see what you think about our top 80s action movies.
Mhm. And it isn't half the films that are on the shelf behind me.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Anything else that we forgot to talk about?
Not really, man. I think we're doing all good.
Bro.
Yeah, my kids are so damn loud. Honestly.
You're fine, man. You're fine. Okay, cool. We'll catch everyone next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for Emily. Thank you to Emily for coming on and chatting to us about beer in Glasgow. Like, I've just read so many notes about pubs in Glasgow that I want to go to. But yeah, check her out, Glasgow Beer Girl. She's a really super lady who is doing a lot. Like, I don't think she picks herself up enough. Like, she's quite influential, particularly in the Glasgow scene. And I know, like, I've spoken to people who are like, yeah, like she's great. Folk go to pubs because she suggested them. So, and her having good times and like complimenting the bar on the fact that they've been like signposted to that place and stuff. So, yeah, you should check her out, Glasgow Beer Girl on Instagram. But yeah, cool. Right then, man. I'll catch you later.
No worries. Take it easy.
Cheers.